If he was a real person.
If he was a real person, yeah.
Hey guys, this is Dominique Wilkins.
Hey, this is Sean Kemp.
This is Gary Payton.
Hey, this is Pau Gasol.
NBA fans, what's up? This is Vince Carter here.
Hey, what's up? This is Matt Barnes. If you're an old school NBA fan like I am, make sure you check out the Basketball Time Machine with my man Sean David.
Hey folks, how's it going? Welcome back to the Basketball Time Machine. My name, of course, is Sean David. Thanks for tuning in. Let's talk some old school NBA basketball. In today's episode, I want to take a look at NBA legends talking about Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain. Now, obviously, I covered him plenty of times, also with NBA legends, but it's always such a pleasure to see when you have some new clips, some other players talking about the big fella. So I wanted to show this to you guys, and hopefully you're going to like it. But don't forget, leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe to the channel. And I would say, let's get right into it. Now the first player that I want to take a look at is Dominique Wilkins, who, not too long ago talked about Wilt Chamberlain, and you can hear how much appreciation he had for Wilt Chamberlain even since his early days. Let's take a look.
Who was the best basketball player that you've seen that you really admired that game?
When I watched Wilt Chamberlain, listen, he got still over 60-some NBA records that would never be broken. The guy averaged 50 and 30 rebounds a game for one season.
I couldn't believe it when I read it.
I saw a video, an old tape of him, where a guy goes to shoot it over him and he lobs it high. Chamberlain jumps and his fingertips is at the top of the backboard when he catches the shot. I've never seen anything like that. That's unhuman, for someone to do that. And so what he did and his dominance and with the physicality that he played with, where people were basically trying to take him out and they couldn't, he was too strong. I mean, he was benching 650 pounds before games. The guy was an incredible. So you start with Russell, you start with guys like Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem, those guys was before their time.
In the past couple of episodes, you had every once in a while some clips of Rasheed Wallace because of his new podcast. And here he talks about Wilt Chamberlain, and he simply thinks he's an alien.
I know you met him and all, but I'm sorry. There's rumors online that he's not a real person.
He might have been an alien.
The averaging 50, he was a track star, he was a globe trotter.
He's the only NBA player that's in the Collegiate Hall of Fame in 2 sports. He was a phenomenal athlete, yo. You talking about a guy back then with a lot of the talents that a lot of the bigs today have as far as their athleticism.
If he was a real person.
If he was a real person, yeah.
He was AI, is what he is. He was a figment of our imagination.
There have been over 4,500 basketball players to make at least one appearance in the NBA. To make it to the all-time 75 list, or top 1%, you have to be great. The Big Dipper, Wilt Chamberlain, was unlike any player when he came onto the NBA scene. He began his Hall of Fame career with Philadelphia in 1959 and San Francisco Warriors till 1965.
Chamberlain is the greatest scoring machine the game has ever known.
His 7-foot frame saw him break records like never before. Chamberlain is the only player in NBA history to average at least 30 points and 20 rebounds per game in a season, which he accomplished 7 times. And of course, the only NBA player to score 100 points in a game.
Yes, sir. Chamberlain banks it in. Beautiful.
Prime Wilt, Prime Shaq, 101.
I hate when you ask a question and then you can ask sub-questions. For example, what era are we playing in?
Let's say with your era.
And then, I'm looking at Wilt's highlights. I'm not impressed. I was a lot more hip-hop, had a lot more style. I was the first dude to bring it up off a rebound with style. If you look at how Wilton brought up, they had the little tap drill. I was the first to get that thing, bring it up, I'll cross somebody up, boom, boom, bam. I was the first to do that. So, young Wilt, young Shaq, I'm going to go with young Shaq. But, good thing about these comments, we're all having fun, respecting each other. I respect the guy that chooses Wilt. Stuff like that doesn't get me mad. I'm happy to be in that conversation.
You see, he's a Philadelphia guy. I went to school with his brother, so I kind of knew him and had seen him play. I sat on his sidelines, though, while they played in the playgrounds, a lot of times when he came back home, hoping to get picked to play, in those games with him and whatnot. But, he was a guy that I had idolized, so to speak. I wore his socks throughout my high school career because they were long and I had real skinny legs, so I was able to make my legs look a little bit bigger. But he was a guy that for me and most of the guys that I know, he's the greatest player that ever played the game.
Like, I'm big on Shaq. Like, he's my favorite. I mean, honestly, if you go by stats, you know what I mean? It's got to be Wilt Chamberlain. 1 through 5 right now. Somebody averaging 50 and 30.
4 straight games, 50 or more points. Only the second player in NBA history to ever accomplish that.
Your experiences of last year with this prolific scoring games, how do you now view what Wilt Chamberlain was able to do? 100-point game and that entire 62 season that he had when he averaged, it seems incredible now to think he averaged 50 points.
Yeah, 25 rebounds. I mean, that's amazing.
When I was in high school, because the Philadelphia All-Stars came down to play against the Washington All-Stars. Elgin leading that for Washington and Wilt leading that for Philadelphia. Wilt he's one of those guys could have played in any era. I think he is the most dominant basketball player of all time.
Wilt Chamberlain of the San Francisco Warriors, the league's leading scorer for the last 5 years, the league's deadliest man under the board.
The rebound, Watkinville. Back to Ruckwick. Into Chamberlain. 100 points for Wilt Chamberlain.
He is one person that I would say saved the NBA. 1 year he averaged 50 points a game, and people came to see him play. He was such a big giant and an athletic person, blocking shots and rebounding, and just scored 100 points in a game up at Hershey, PA.
One of the players that played with the Knicks at that time, after the game was over, he called his wife and said, "Hey, Wilt and I scored 102 points tonight." And his wife was very thrilled, that she thought her husband had a great night. She said, "Well, how many did you get?" He said, "Well, Wilt got 100 and I got 2.
Was another one that I met and trained with. Wilt Chamberlain.
You trained with Wilt Chamberlain?
Yeah, Wilt Chamberlain would be in the gym. We eventually ended up doing a movie together.
Yeah, Conan.
Conan the Destroyer, exactly. Yeah. But I was a big fan of his because he came to the gym and he would do a tricep extension that, like, the big guys, the strongest guys, would do, let's say, 120 pounds, let's say, tricep extension, pulling down, right? He would come and he would do 150, 170 pounds, Wilt Chamberlain. That's how strong he was.
They always said he was by far the strongest person who's ever played in the NBA.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember that he lifted me up like with one arm like nothing.
My friend Wilt Norman Chamberlain was far and away the best player I've ever played against, for a number of reasons. First of all, physically, he was still the most imposing physical player that's ever played in this league, period. There's no one that's come close to him in terms of just physical prowess. On top of that, he's a great athlete. And the last thing that created a problem was he was smart.
Some amazing things that I got a chance to watch him do, besides lead a team to a championship. I remember the Sports Illustrated had a headline, Wilt, the reason he's passing the ball now is he can't score anymore. He's getting too old. And I'm not sure if it was the next 3 or 4 games, he averaged over 60 points, just to let everybody know that he hadn't forgotten how to score. Then he went back to getting assists and led the league that year in assists.
Guys like Jerry West and Elgin Baylor, I feel very, very happy that I'm being traded to a team that I believe may stand a chance to go down the record as one of the best teams in basketball ever.
He led the NBA in scoring and rebound and assists. No one has ever done that before. Later in his career, he figured, you know what? I've got to pass the ball to my teammates. I've got to finally get this championship, and he got it with Philadelphia and later with the Lakers.
For me as a basketball historian, it's always difficult to talk about players that I personally have never seen, that I really just go by tapes from back in the day. And still, to me, and this, I don't know if you guys can share this experience. To me, if you average 50 points and 25, 30 rebounds, it does not matter how bad your competition is, it's still almost impossible to achieve that. 50 points even against bad competition is super, super, super tough. But hey, the big fella did it. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think about the opinions of the NBA legends? And hopefully I'll see you next time on the Basketball Time Machine.